The first time Kira saw a human, she thought they looked weak. Their skin was so fragile, their bodies so small compared to her own 8-foot frame. She watched from the shadows of her ship as the human settlement went about their daily tasks. They had no idea her scout vessel was cloaked in orbit above their colony. World Kira belonged to the Vazari, a race known across 3 galaxies as fierce warriors. Her people had conquered worlds for centuries, expanding their empire through strength and superior technology. The humans were new to space travel, barely able to reach nearby stars. Their technology was primitive, their defenses laughable. They would make an easy addition to the growing Vazari Dominion. Commander Zex had ordered her to study them for weaknesses before the invasion fleet arrived. Kira had been watching for 2 weeks, recording their patterns and behaviors, finding nothing particularly impressive or threatening, but something about them troubled her. They smiled. Often they helped each other without command. They created art and music with no apparent purpose. On the 15th day of observation, Kira decided to move closer. A Vazari scout should never be detected, but her curiosity had grown too strong. Yumaibai needed to understand these creatures better. She adjusted her cloaking field and descended to the edge of the settlement under cover of darkness. A small dwelling stood apart from the others. The scans showed only 1 occupant. Kira approached the structure, peering through the transparent wall section. A human female sat alone, illuminated by the glow of a small device. She was making marks on a surface, while small sounds played from another device. Kira enhanced her audio receptors. It was music unlike anything in Vazari culture. It contained no military rhythms, no victory chants, no calls to battle. It was soft, complex, with patterns that seemed to serve no purpose but beauty. Kira stood transfixed, her mission forgotten. The human suddenly looked up. Her eyes widened as she caught sight of Kira through the window. The cloaking field had malfunctioned. The human screamed a sound that pierced through the night. Kira panicked, activating her emergency transport. But the coordinates scrambled. She materialized inside the dwelling instead of back on her ship. The 2 females stared at each other, separated by mere steps. The human was small, barely reaching the height of Kira's chest. Her hair was a golden color. Her eyes, a pale blue. Kira towered over her, purple skin gleaming in the artificial light. Her forearms tensed, ready for battle. The human spoke words. Kira could not understand. Her translator implant processed the sounds. "Who are you? What do you want?" Kira had been trained. For combat, not first contact, but protocol demanded she respond. "I am Scout Commander Kira of the Vazari Empire. I am here to assess your world for conquest." The human showed no fear, only confusion, then curiosity. Kira checked her weapons systems, out of habit, but did not activate them. "My name is Lily." The human said, "Would you like some coffee?" Kira did not understand. The human should be afraid, should be calling for help or attempting escape. Instead, she moved toward another part of the dwelling and began manipulating objects. Kira followed cautiously, her sensors scanning for traps or weapons. "Your people will be conquered," Kira said, wanting to be clear. "The Vazari fleet comes in 7 cycles. Your defenses cannot stop them." Lily handed her a container of hot liquid. "Try this first, then we can talk about conquering Earth." Kira took the offering with one of her lower arms. Her scanners showed no toxins. She sipped the strange liquid. It was bitter, yet pleasant. A sensation she had never experienced. "Why are you not afraid?" Kira asked. Lily smiled. "Should I be? I figure if you're going to hurt me, you would have already. And if your people are as powerful as you say, what good would running do? Better to make a friend than an enemy, don't you think, friend?" This was not a concept in Vazari culture. There were commanders, subordinates, enemies, and conquests. Kira had never been offered friendship, especially not from a being her people planned to subjugate. "You are strange," Kira said. "Says the 8-foot-tall purple woman with 4 arms. Lily laughed. The sound of her laughter did something unexpected to Kira. It created a warm sensation in her chest cavity. Her biomonitors registered increased hormone levels similar to combat excitement, but different, softer as the night progressed. Lily showed Kira many things about human life. She played music from around the world, sounds so varied and expressive that Kira could hardly believe they came from the same species. Lily explained how humans created art not for glory or to honor leaders, but simply because beauty mattered to them. She showed Kira pictures of Earth, deserts, mountains, oceans, forests. Kira had seen many worlds, but none with such diversity. Do all humans live alone like you? Kira asked, noticing that the dwelling seemed designed for a single occupant. No, Lily said. Most humans live with family or friends or partners. I live alone because I like my space. I need quiet to work on my music. Music is your assigned function. Lily laughed again, that strange, pleasant sound. We don't get assigned functions, we choose what we want to do. Some people make music, others build things, or grow food, or teach, or explore. We follow our interests. This concept was completely foreign to Kira. Vazari were bred for specific roles, their genetic makeup tailored to their future function in the Empire. She herself had been engineered for enhanced perception, stealth, and tactical analysis. The idea of choice was dangerous, almost rebellious. Does your leader not decide what is best for all? We have many leaders, Lily explained, and they change. We vote for them, and sometimes they make mistakes, and we choose new ones. Kira tried to process this information. It contradicted everything she knew about effective governance. Vazari had been ruled by the same bloodline for thousands of years. The stability of their hierarchy was what made them strong. The Emperor decided all major matters, while generals and commanders carried out his will. A signal chimed from Kira's wrist device. Her ship had repaired itself and was calling her back. The invasion fleet had altered course, arriving in just 3 cycles, not 7. She needed to complete her report. Immediately, I must go, Kira said, standing to her full height. Will you come back? Lily asked. Kira hesitated. Such a request was against all protocols, but the warm feeling remained. Perhaps. That night, Kira sat in her ship staring at the blank report screen. What should she tell her commanders? That humans were physically weak, yes. But there was something about them, something she could not explain, that made her think they might be dangerous in ways the Vazari could not understand. Their unpredictability, their creativity, their strange concept of freedom. For the first time in her career, Kira falsified a report. She detailed impossible defenses, impenetrable shields, and mysterious weapons. She described humans as dangerous, unpredictable, and not worth the resources to conquer. She sent the data packet to the fleet, adding her highest recommendation to bypass this system entirely. The commander would be suspicious, but Kira was their best scout. Her word carried weight. And by the time they discovered her deception, the fleet would be too far away to turn back. 3 days later, Kira returned to the small dwelling. She had disabled her tracking beacon, removed her uniform, and brought a container of seeds from her world, seeds that would grow into flowers with purple blossoms that sang in the moonlight. Lily was waiting, smiling, as if she had known Kira would return. She had prepared more coffee and something called cookies. I brought you something, Kira said, extending the container with her. Upper right hand, I have something for you too, Lily replied. It's called music. I made it for you. As the strange, beautiful sounds filled the room, Kira knew her life would never be the same. She had been sent to prepare for conquest. Instead, she had discovered something the Vazari had never known. Peace might be more powerful than war after all. The next morning, Lily called a meeting at her home. She invited only 5 people, her most trusted friends. Each had already been helping with the deception, but none had actually met Kira. They arrived one by one, expressions of shock and wonder crossing their faces as they encountered the 8-foot, 4-armed purple alien standing in Lily's living room. A woman named Kate was the first to speak. She was older than Lily, with streaks of gray in her dark hair and an air of authority. So you're really real, she said, looking Kira up and down. I half believed Lily was playing an elaborate joke. I assure you I am quite real, Kira responded, and so is the threat to your world. That's why we're here, Lily said, gesturing for everyone to sit. Kira, has bought us some time, but we need a more permanent solution. A man named Hank crossed his arms skeptically. And we're supposed to trust her? She just admitted her people want to conquer us. If I wanted to betray your world, I would have done so. Already, Kira said simply. I have risked everything by warning you. Mary, a young woman with bright red hair, nodded. She's right. We owe her our thanks, but gratitude won't stop an invasion fleet. Neither will holograms and fake signals, added Peter, a thin man with glasses. Not for long, anyway. The fifth visitor was Grace, an older woman with dark skin and calm eyes. She had remained silent, studying Kira with interest. Why are you helping us? She finally asked. What changed your mind about your mission? It was a question Kira had asked herself many times. She thought of the music Lily had played, the laughter they had shared, the strange warmth that filled her whenever they were together. Your ways are different, she said at last. The Vazari value strength, order, conquest. We believe those who cannot defend themselves deserve to be ruled. But here I have seen another kind of strength. Creativity, connection, choice. You make art not to glorify leaders, but because it brings joy. You help others. Not because it is commanded, but because you choose to. The Empire would destroy these things, and I find I do not want that to happen. Grace nodded as if satisfied with this answer. Then we need to show your people what you have seen. Make them understand what would be lost. Impossible. Kira said. The Empire does not negotiate. It does not compromise. It conquers. Everyone negotiates. Kate said. If the price of conflict becomes too high, Lily leaned forward. What if we could communicate directly with your leaders? Show them that humanity has value beyond our resources. Make it clear that conquering Earth would cost more than it's worth. A diplomatic solution. Mary said thoughtfully. They would never agree to a meeting, Kira countered. And even if they did, they would see it only as an opportunity to study your weaknesses. Then we need leverage, Hank said. Something they want. Something only we can provide. The room fell silent as everyone considered this challenge. Kira knew the Vazari well. Their needs, their desires, their weaknesses. But what could humans possibly offer that the mighty Empire couldn't simply take by force? Then Lily spoke. Music. Everyone looked at her in confusion. Think about it, she continued, excitement growing in her voice. Kira said the Vazari have nothing like our music. Their art, their culture is all about power and glory, right? She looked at Kira, who nodded. But you responded to our music. It affected you emotionally. Maybe it could affect others too. A cultural exchange, Grace said, warming to the idea of music, art, literature. It sounds naive, Hank argued. You think we can stop an invasion with songs? Peter adjusted his glasses. Actually, there's precedent throughout human history. Cultural exchange has often preceded and facilitated diplomatic relations. The soft power approach. Kira considered the possibility. It was true that her exposure to human music had changed something fundamental within her. The complex harmonies, the emotional resonance had awakened feelings she hadn't known existed. And if it had affected her, a trained scout, it might affect others. Perhaps even those in power. The Emperor, she said slowly. He has a collection, artifacts from conquered worlds. He values unique things. If your music truly has no equivalent in our empire, it might interest him. That's our opening then, Lily said. We prepare a cultural package. Something so unique, so beautiful that even your emperor can't resist experiencing it for himself. And once we have his attention, we negotiate. Kate added it was a fragile plan based on assumptions about beings who had never encountered humans, but it was the only non-violent option they had. Over the following weeks, they worked. Tirelessly, Lily composed music specifically designed to evoke emotional responses in alien listeners, based on what Kira could tell her about Vazari physiology and psychology. Peter and Mary assembled a database of human art, literature, and scientific achievements emphasizing the unique aspects of human creativity. Hank, who turned out to be an engineer, worked with Kira to modify communication systems that could transmit the cultural package through Vazari channels. Kate used her government connections to quietly gather support without creating panic. They needed resources, access to satellite networks, transmission capabilities, all without revealing the full truth to the wider world. Grace, whose background was in anthropology, developed a framework for potential diplomatic exchanges, studying Kira's descriptions of Vazari culture to identify possible points of connection. Kira provided critical information about Vazari communication protocols, encryption methods, and most importantly, the personal preferences of the Emperor himself. She had never met him, of course, but every Vazari knew the stories of his collection, his appreciation for the exotic and unusual, his particular interest in sound-based artifacts from other worlds. "Will this really work?" Lily asked one evening as they reviewed their progress. "Will they actually listen?" "I cannot be certain," Kira admitted. "But I believe there is a chance the Vazari conquer, because we have never encountered anything we valued that we could not simply take, but your music, your art. They cannot be taken. They must be created freely, shared willingly. That makes them unique. And if they decide to just take our planet anyway, then at least we tried a better way," Kira said. "That itself is a victory of sorts." The day came to transmit their message. Kira's ship, modified with human components, would broadcast directly to the Vazari command network using her personal authentication codes. It was risky. The message would reveal her betrayal, but it was their best chance of reaching the Emperor directly. They gathered at a remote facility Kate had secured. The equipment was ready, the cultural package prepared. They had chosen carefully, including music from diverse human traditions, art that showcased the range of human creativity, scientific achievements that demonstrated human ingenuity, and most importantly, messages of peace, explaining humanity's desire for mutual understanding rather than conflict. Kira would transmit first, establishing the connection. Then the human material would follow. She sat at the controls of her ship surrounded by her human friends, feeling strangely calm despite the gravity of what they were attempting. "This will change everything," she said. For better or worse, Lily took her hand. "Change is how we grow." Kira activated the transmission sequence. Her personal codes flowed into the Vazari network, followed by a brief message in her native tongue to the glorious Emperor of the Vazari. "Ain, Scout Commander Kira, bring you a treasure unlike any in your collection, a gift from a world called Earth. I beg you to experience it before you conquer. This transmission contains no weapons, no viruses, only truth, beauty, and a proposition." Then the human package began to upload music, images, text, all carefully selected to showcase the best of humanity. The transmission would take hours to complete. All they could do now was wait and hope it reached its intended recipient. As the data flowed outward toward the stars, Kira felt a strange mixture of dread and hope. She had committed the ultimate betrayal against her people, yet somehow it felt right, like the first truly meaningful act of her life. "What happens now?" Mary asked. "Now we wait," Kira replied, "and prepare for either peace or war." Grace placed a hand on her shoulder. "Whatever comes, you're not alone anymore." Kira looked around at these humans who had accepted her, trusted her, included her in their desperate plan to save their world. They had shown her another way of being, not defined by conquest or hierarchy, but by connection and choice. "No," she agreed. "I am not alone. That is perhaps the greatest gift your world has given me." That night, as the others rested, Kira and Lily sat outside watching the stars. The transmission continued automated, now requiring no further input. Somewhere out there, the Vazari fleet was moving ever closer to Earth. Their fate now depended on whether a message of peace could reach the right ears before the warships arrived. "Do you regret it?" Lily asked softly. "Betraying your people for us?" Kira considered the question carefully. "The Vazari taught me that loyalty to the Empire is the highest virtue, but they never taught me to question whether the Empire itself is virtuous. Perhaps true loyalty means wanting better for your people, not blindly following orders." Lily smiled. "That sounds very human. Perhaps humans and Vazari are not so different as I once thought. Kira replied, "We have simply made different choices about how to live." A light streaked across the sky, a meteorite burning up in Earth's atmosphere, a small death in the vastness of space, but beautiful in its passing. "Whatever happens," Kira said, "I am grateful to have known you, to have heard your music, to have seen your world through different eyes." The months that followed were both challenging and exhilarating. As official representative of the Vazari Empire, Kira found herself navigating the complex waters of interspecies diplomacy. Her unique position as both Vazari and friend to humans made her invaluable but also isolated. She belonged fully to neither world now existing in the space between. Earth governments reacted with predictable alarm when informed of the Vazari contact. Some wanted immediate military preparation. Others demanded technology transfers as protection. Some refused to believe the truth at all. Kate's connections proved essential as she carefully managed the revelation, working with world leaders to form a unified response. A small compound was established, in a neutral territory where Vazari representatives could meet with human delegates. Kira lived there, coordinating communications between the two species, translating not just language, but cultural context, intention, nuance. It was exhausting work, but deeply satisfying. Lily visited, often becoming an unofficial cultural ambassador. Her music had been key to opening diplomatic channels, and now she worked to expand that connection, creating collaborative performances that blended human and Vazari sounds. She even began learning the complex tonal language of the Empire, impressing Vazari visitors with her quick grasp of their communication methods. 6 months after the initial contact, a small Vazari delegation arrived, bringing scientists, scholars, and cultural experts. The exchange had begun in earnest. Humans shared their art, music, literature, while Vazari shared limited technology, scientific knowledge, and historical records. Commander Vex returned as military attaché, his presence a reminder that the Empire still considered Earth a potential acquisition, not yet a true ally. He watched Kira closely, clearly suspecting her loyalty remained compromised. But over time, even he began to show interest in human ways, particularly their approach to tactical problems. "They think differently," he admitted to Kira one evening after observing a military training exercise. "Less disciplined than our forces, but more adaptive, more creative. That is their strength." Kira replied, "They embrace variation, where we seek uniformity." Vex considered this. The Emperor was wise to delay conquest. Such minds might serve the Empire better as allies than subjects. It was a significant concession from a Vazari commander. Kira took it as a positive sign. Not all interactions were so promising. Many Vazari found human emotions excessive, their individualism chaotic, their governance systems inefficient. Some humans feared the aliens, their advanced technology, their physical differences, their historical tendency toward conquest. Protests occurred on both sides. Vazari purists demanded the Empire return to its traditional approach of conquest. Human isolationists called for breaking off contact entirely. Navigating these tensions required all of Kira's diplomatic skill and Lily's natural ability to connect with others. 1 year after first contact, the Emperor himself returned to Earth. This time with greater ceremony, a formal state visit to evaluate the progress of their unusual arrangement. A grand reception was held at the compound. Delegations from Earth's major nations attended, along with high-ranking Vazari officials. Kira stood at the center of it, all the bridge between worlds. The Emperor toured Earth facilities, visited human cities, observed their governance in action. He showed particular interest in their creative processes, watching musicians, painters, writers at work. The concept of art for personal expression rather than state glory continued to fascinate him. On the final evening of his visit, he requested a private meeting with Kira and Lily. They gathered in a garden designed to blend Earth and Vazari aesthetics, earth flowers alongside crystal formations reminiscent of the Vazari homeworld. "Your experiment progresses, Scout Commander," the Emperor said, studying a rose with interest. though not without complications. All meaningful growth involves challenge, Great One. Kira replied, Indeed. He turned his silver gaze to Lily. This human has been integral to the process, I am told. Your music continues to spread among my people, despite attempts to regulate its distribution. Lily smiled. Art has a way of finding its audience. So it seems, the Emperor said. My cultural advisors report that exposure to human creative expression is causing unexpected effects. Vazari artists are experimenting with new forms. Officers report increased questioning among the ranks. Concepts like choice and individual expression are spreading particularly among the younger generations. He did not sound entirely pleased. Kira tensed, uncertain whether this development would be viewed as cultural contamination or beneficial exchange. Change can be difficult, Lily acknowledged, but it can also reveal new possibilities for both our peoples. The Emperor was silent for a moment. I did not become ruler of 3 galaxies by fearing change, Scout Commander. The probationary status of Earth will be extended. Additional cultural and scientific exchanges will be permitted. Limited technology transfers. Authorized. It was more than Kira had hoped for. Thank you, Emperor, your wisdom guides us all. Do not mistake curiosity for weakness, he cautioned. The Empire remains. The fleet remains. If this experiment fails, if this exchange threatens rather, then Enrich's conquest remains an option. We understand, Lily said, but I believe we've only begun to discover what our worlds can learn from each other. After the Emperor departed, life settled into a new rhythm. The compound expanded, becoming a true embassy. Humans and Vazari worked together, studied together, even began to form friendships. More Vazari visitors arrived. Some even requested extended stays, fascinated by Earth culture. Kira found herself increasingly comfortable in her role. As bridge builder, the rigid military discipline of her early life giving way to a more balanced existence. She continued to serve the Empire, but now through understanding rather than conquest. She maintained her strength, her tactical mind, her Vazari identity, but complemented these with human perspectives, human emotions, human connections. One evening, as she and Lily walked along a lake shore near the compound, Kira reflected on the strange journey that had brought her here, from scout to spy, to diplomat, from loyal soldier to something new. Something without precedent in Vazari history. Do you ever regret it? Lily asked, seeming to read her thoughts. Everything you gave up. Kira looked out over the water. Earth's moon, reflecting on its surface so different from the 3 moons of her homeworld. I gave up certainty, she said. The comfort of clear orders, defined purpose, absolute loyalty. But I gained something greater. Something I never knew existed. What's that? Choice, Kira said. The freedom to determine my own path, to serve not through fear or obligation, but through conviction. The opportunity to build rather than conquer. Lily smiled. That sounds very human. Perhaps, Kira agreed. Or perhaps it is simply the next evolution of being Vazari. Finding strength not just in power but in connection. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. Somewhere up there, the Vazari fleet continued its patrol. The Empire continued its expansion. But here on this small blue world, something new had begun. A different kind of relationship. A different possibility. The seeds we planted are growing, Lily said eventually. I received word today that a group of Vazari musicians has requested permission to visit Earth to learn about harmony and improvisation concepts that don't exist in their traditional music. And humans are studying Vazari crystal architecture, mathematical precision that human builders have never achieved. Kira added, the exchange flows both ways as it should. Do you think it will last? Lily's question held both hope and uncertainty, this peace, this understanding. Kira considered the question carefully. She knew the Empire, its history, its drive for dominance. But she had also seen change happening slowly. Yes, but undeniably. The Emperor's curiosity, human adaptability, the growing connections between individuals on both sides. I believe it can, she said finally. Not without challenges, not without setbacks. But yes, I believe this new path has potential. The Vazari have conquered many worlds, but we have never truly connected with any. This is different. This matters. Lily took her hand, a gesture that had once seemed strange to Kira, but now felt natural, comfortable. Then we keep building bridges. One connection at a time, Kira agreed. Above them the stars continued their ancient patterns, unchanged by the small dramas playing out beneath them. But Kira knew better than most that stars too evolved, changed, grew over vast periods of time. Perhaps civilizations could do the same. She had come to Earth as a scout, assessing weakness, preparing for conquest. She had found strength instead. Not in weapons or defenses, but in music, in creativity, in connection. In choice, she had discovered another way of being, another path forward. The space between stars once seemed empty to her. Now she understood it was filled with possibility, with potential, with hope. Her mission continued, but its purpose had transformed. From preparing for war to building peace, from conquest to understanding, from isolation to connection. Kira looked at Lily, at this human who had changed everything with simple acts of friendship, with music, with questions that challenged certainty, with a different kind of strength, and she knew with absolute clarity that she had made the right choice. The stars between their worlds would no longer divide them, they would connect them instead. One note, one conversation, one bridge at a time. Weeks passed and Kira continued her secret visits to Lily. The lies in her reports grew more elaborate. She claimed to be scouting other nearby systems, while in reality she spent most of her time on Earth learning about humans. Her ship remained, hidden in the mountains far from any settlement, detectable only by the most advanced scanners. Lily taught her about human emotions, something Vazari were trained to suppress from birth. She explained concepts like love, friendship, compassion, all foreign to Kira, whose people valued only strength, loyalty, and conquest. "Do you miss your home?" Lily asked one evening, as they sat watching stars from the small porch of her home. Kira considered the question. The Vazari homeworld was a place of rigid order, harsh beauty, and constant competition. She had not seen it in many years. Scouts rarely returned home until their final deployment. "I miss certain things, the crystal forests, the fighting pits where I trained, the taste of blood fruit at sunrise. But not your family." Family, another strange concept. Vazari children were raised in group facilities separated by function and ability. They knew their genetic donors only as codes in a database. "We do not have families as you do. We have units battle. Groups hive clusters. We are loyal to the empire, not to individuals." Lily looked sad at this. That sounds lonely. Lonely. Kira had never considered her existence in such terms. She had her purpose, her rank, her mission. That was supposed to be enough. But now, after weeks among humans, she felt something new. A hollowness when she returned to her empty ship, a longing for conversation, touch, laughter. She was changing, and the realization frightened her. One day Kira received an encrypted transmission from her fleet. The message was brief but clear. "Scout Commander Kira, report to Secondary Command immediately for mission reassessment." Kira knew what this meant. Her false reports had been discovered. Someone was coming to verify her findings, perhaps, even to replace her. She went to Lily that night with urgency. "I must leave for a time. My commanders are suspicious. They are sending another scout." Lily's face showed concern. "Will they find us?" "Not if they follow protocol. They will observe from orbit first. But if they detect my ship or trace my movements here..." Kira did not finish the thought. They both knew what it meant. "Then you need to hide your ship better, and we need to make sure they see what you want them to see." Kira was surprised by Lily's immediate shift to tactical thinking. It was a response worthy of a Vazari commander. "What do you suggest?" "First, we need to warn my people. Not everyone, but those I trust. We can create the illusion of advanced technology. Make it look like we have the defenses you described in your reports." Deception. Kira nodded, appreciating the strategy. "A core principle of warfare." Lily smiled. or just a good old-fashioned magic trick. Over the next days they worked together, Lily contacted friends, scientists, engineers, artists, people she trusted with the incredible truth of Kira's existence. Together they designed holograms, false energy signatures, and convincing decoys. They moved Kira's ship to an underwater cave in a remote lake, disguising its energy output with a series of reflectors. Kira was impressed by the humans' ingenuity. They lacked the technology of the Vazari, but their creativity, their ability to improvise and adapt was remarkable. They approached problems from angles she would never have considered, finding solutions that were elegant in their simplicity. The replacement scout arrived right on schedule. Kira tracked its orbit from her hidden ship. It was a standard observation vessel piloted by a single scout. She recognized the signature Commander Vex, her former training partner, a formidable warrior and a meticulous investigator. He would not be easily fooled. For 3 days, Vex maintained standard orbit, running the expected scans Kira and Lily's. Preparations seemed to be working. The false signals appeared on his scanners, making Earth look far more advanced than it was. But on the 4th day, his ship changed course, descending into the atmosphere. He was coming for a closer look. He's not. Following protocol, Kira told Lily through the communication device they had established, he suspects something. Where is he heading? Kira checked the trajectory. Your settlement. He's coming here. They had prepared for this possibility, but Kira had hoped it wouldn't be necessary. The plan was risky, depending entirely on human technology, working against superior Vazari systems. As night fell, Vex's ship entered the airspace above Lily's town, using the same cloaking technology as Kira's vessel. But Lily's friends had modified a weather radar station to detect the specific energy signature of Vazari cloaking fields. They tracked his movement as he circled the area. He's searching for my ship, Kira said, watching the signal move in a standard search pattern. When he doesn't find it, he will investigate the settlement. Then let's make sure he sees something interesting. Lily activated the system they had prepared across the town. Hidden projectors came to life, casting holograms into the sky shield generators, fake weapons arrays, advanced communication dishes. None of it was real, but from a distance the illusion was convincing. Just as Kira had described in her false reports, Vex's ship hovered, observing. Eventually it moved closer. Drawn by the display, Kira tensed, knowing he would soon realize the deception. But before he could, the second phase of their plan activated. Real satellites in Earth orbit, modified by Lily's scientist friends, began broadcasting signals precisely, calibrated to interfere with Vazari's scanning technology. The effect was temporary but disorienting. Kira watched as Vex's ship wobbled slightly, its systems momentarily confused. Now, she said. Lily pressed another button, and a concentrated electromagnetic pulse shot upward, carefully designed to affect Vazari technology, while leaving human systems intact. It was a gentle push, not enough to damage the ship but sufficient to disrupt its cloaking field and sensor arrays. Vex would have no choice but to retreat and recalibrate. His first priority would be to avoid detection, and with his sensors compromised, he wouldn't risk staying to investigate further. Sure enough, the ship ascended, rapidly returning to orbit. Within hours, it departed the system, heading back toward Vazari space. It worked, Lily said, her voice filled with relief. Do you think he believed what he saw? Enough to confirm my reports. Kira said. He saw advanced technology, defensive capabilities, things that would make Earth too costly to invade. At minimum, it will cause delay while they reassess. But Kira knew this was only a temporary solution. Vex would report back. The fleet might send more scouts, or worse, a full reconnaissance team. She had bought time, perhaps months. But eventually the Vazari would learn the truth. That night, as they celebrated their small victory, Kira made a decision. She could not keep living between two worlds. Eventually she would be discovered or recalled. Her deception would be exposed, though. Only question was how much time she had left. Lily, she said quietly, I need to tell you something about my people. You need to understand what might be coming. The human looked at her with those pale blue eyes, so different from the solid gold of Vazari eyes yet somehow able to see more. "Tell me everything," she said. "No more secrets between us." And so Kira began to explain the true extent of the Vazari Empire, the countless worlds they had conquered, the billions who lived under their rule. She described their weapons, their tactics, their ruthless efficiency. She told Lily about the breeding programs, the genetic modifications, the hierarchical society that had produced her through it all. Lily listened, asking questions occasionally, but mostly absorbing the terrible truth of what faced her world. Her expression remained calm, even as Kira described horrors that would have made most beings tremble. When Kira finished, Lily was silent for a long moment. Then she reached out and took one of Kira's hands in her own. The touch was strange, intimate in a way Kira had never experienced. "Thank you for telling me," Lily said. "For trusting me. You're not afraid." "Of course I'm afraid. But fear doesn't help. We need to plan. We need to prepare." Again, that tactical mind so unexpected in this gentle human. "Prepare how the technology gap is too great, you cannot fight them." Lily smiled, a determined expression Kira had come to recognize. Who said anything about fighting? Maybe there's another way. 3 days after sending their message, they received a response. It came directly to Kira's ship, bypassing Earth's communication networks. A simple text transmission in Vazari Script Scout. "Commander Kira, your transmission has been received. The Emperor finds your gift intriguing. A diplomatic vessel will arrive at the coordinates you provided in 2 cycles. Prepare the humans for contact." Kira read the message twice, hardly believing what she saw. Then she contacted Lily and the others. They gathered quickly at the same facility where they had sent their transmission, excitement and apprehension mixing in equal measure. "Is this good news?" Hank asked skeptically. "Or are they just sending someone to capture you and scout our defenses more thoroughly?" "The Kira message mentions a diplomatic vessel, not a warship," Kira pointed out, "and it specifically instructs me to prepare you for contact that suggests genuine interest. Or a trap," Peter said. "Either way, we must be ready," Kate declared. "If they're coming to talk, we need to be prepared. If they're coming for reconnaissance, we need to be even more prepared." They worked frantically over the next 2 days, Earth days, not Vazari cycles, which were slightly longer. Kate used her government connections to arrange a secure meeting location, a remote area where a Vazari ship could land without causing panic. They decided only their small group would attend the initial contact. Additional human representatives could be brought in later if things went well. Lily focused on preparing a live demonstration of human music, culture, and art. "If they were intrigued by recordings, they'll be amazed by the real thing," she said with determination. The night before the scheduled arrival, Kira felt a growing unease. She knew Vazari tactics better than anyone. The diplomatic approach was unusual, but not unprecedented. Sometimes the Empire did negotiate, typically before absorbing smaller powers into their structure, but true equal diplomacy was rare. "You're worried," Lily observed as they sat together in the monitoring station watching the skies. "Yes," Kira admitted. "I know my people. While the Emperor appreciates unique artifacts, he ultimately serves the Empire's expansion. The fact that he's curious doesn't mean he's abandoned the idea of conquest. Then we need to make sure his curiosity leads to understanding," Lily said, "and understanding to respect. And if it doesn't," Lily took a deep breath, "then at least we tried the peaceful approach first." The diplomatic vessel arrived precisely on schedule. A sleek silver craft much smaller than a warship, but still impressive by human standards. It descended through Earth's atmosphere with casual grace, landing in the designated area without a sound. Kira stood with her human friends as the ship's entry portal dilated. A ramp extended and 3 figures emerged. The first was instantly recognizable to Kira: Commander Vex, her former training partner, the one who had investigated Earth after her false reports. His golden eyes fixed on her immediately, his expression unreadable. The second was a protocol officer, tall and thin, with elaborate markings on her purple skin, denoting her high status in the Imperial Court. She carried a data sphere, the traditional tool of diplomatic documentation, but it was the third figure that caused Kira to drop immediately to one knee, head bowed in the traditional pose of absolute submission. The humans looked confused by her sudden change in demeanor. "What is it?" Lily whispered. "Who is that?" Kira could barely speak. The Emperor himself. The Vazari Emperor stood over 9 feet tall, his skin a deep royal purple, his 4 arms adorned with the ceremonial bands of leadership, his eyes not gold like most Vazari, but a rare silver color that seemed to see through deception. The most powerful being in 3 galaxies had come personally to Earth, an unprecedented event. He approached, slowly studying the humans with evident curiosity. Then his gaze settled on Kira, still kneeling, Rise Scout Commander. His voice was deep, resonant with the natural authority of one born to rule. Kira stood, keeping her eyes downcast, as was proper. "My Emperor, I did not expect." "Clearly," he interrupted, "few would expect the Emperor to travel to an unaligned world based on the recommendation of a scout. Yet here I am. Your transmission was most unusual." "I meant no disrespect, Great One," Kira said carefully. "I sought only to bring something of unique value to your attention. Yes, this human music, this art, these strange ideas of cooperation without conquest." He gestured to the humans. "Are these the creators?" Lily stepped forward with a confidence that surprised Kira. "Some of us." "Yes, I'm Lily. This is Kate Mary, Peter, Hank, and Grace. We represent humanity. We welcome you to Earth." The Emperor studied her for a long moment. Then, to Kira's astonishment, he inclined his head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement usually reserved for equals. "Your gift was well chosen, Scout Commander. It has been many cycles since I encountered anything truly new, particularly something that cannot be taken, only given." He turned to the protocol officer. "Begin the documentation." The diplomatic proceedings that followed were unlike anything Kira had imagined. The Emperor listened as Lily and the others presented Earth's case not for surrender or vassalage, but for recognition as a sovereign world, with its own unique contributions to offer the wider galaxy. Lily played, music live, demonstrating the spontaneity and emotion that recordings could never fully capture. Mary showed art, explaining the diverse perspectives and interpretations humans brought to creative expression. Peter outlined scientific achievements, emphasizing humanity's rapid progress despite their relatively short technological history. Grace spoke of human diversity, how different cultures, traditions, and viewpoints strengthened the whole rather than weakening it. Kate addressed potential areas of cooperation, trade, cultural exchange, scientific collaboration, all framed not as submission to Vazari rule but as mutual benefit between distinct civilizations. Throughout it all, the Emperor listened, asked questions, occasionally conferred with the protocol officer. His interest seemed genuine, his questions insightful. He was particularly fascinated by the concept of music as personal expression. The idea that art could exist without glorifying the state or its leaders was clearly novel to him. Commander Vex remained silent throughout, observing with military precision. His presence a reminder that despite the diplomatic atmosphere, the power of the Vazari fleet remained a reality. As the presentations concluded, the Emperor turned to Kira. "You betrayed your mission, Scout Commander. You lied in your reports. You warned these humans of our coming. These are serious offenses." Kira straightened her posture, meeting his silver gaze directly for the first time. "Yes, Emperor, I did these things." "Why?" The question hung in the air, simple yet profound. Kira could have given many answers. Practical ones, strategic ones, but only the truth would suffice. "Because I found something here worth preserving. Something that conquest would destroy. Music, art, freedom of choice." The Emperor said skeptically, "Connection." Kira corrected. "These humans have shown me that strength comes not just from power or control, but from understanding, from choice, from seeing value in difference. They create not because they must, but because they can. Their society functions not through rigid hierarchy, but through cooperation and mutual respect. It is different from our way, yes, but no less valuable. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then, he turned to Lily. You have given me much to consider, human. Your world is small, your technology primitive, your defense is minimal. By all normal measures, you would already be part of our empire, yet you offer something we have not encountered before. A different kind of strength. We don't want war, Lily said simply. We want understanding, exchange, growth. We believe both our worlds would be diminished by conflict, enriched by cooperation. A novel approach. The Emperor acknowledged, one that warrants further exploration. He turned to the protocol officer. Prepare the preliminary recognition documents. A probationary status for now with terms to be negotiated. Kira could hardly believe what she was hearing. Probationary recognition was rarely granted to any world. It meant Earth would not be conquered, at least not immediately. It meant time. More importantly, it meant the beginning of formal relations between humanity and the Vazari Empire. The protocol officer produced the data, sphere, which projected holographic text in both Vazari and English. The terms were basic. Earth would be recognized as sovereign territory. Diplomatic exchanges would begin. Cultural and scientific cooperation would be explored. A small Vazari delegation would remain to facilitate communications. This is not peace, the Emperor cautioned as Kate reviewed the document. Merely an acknowledgement that immediate conquest may not be the most beneficial approach. It can be revoked. We understand, Kate said. It's a beginning. As the humans and the protocol officer finalized the details, the Emperor drew Kira aside. You have taken an extraordinary risk, Scout Commander 1, that would typically result in your execution. Kira stood straight, accepting her fate. I am prepared for the consequences of my actions, Emperor. Are you? He studied her. What you have done is either treason or vision. Sometimes the line between the two is determined only by the outcome. He gestured toward the humans. They have changed you. They have shown me another way of seeing, Great One, and now you have forced me to see it as well. There was something in his voice, not anger, but perhaps curiosity. You will not return to the fleet. Kira had expected this, but still felt the weight of his words. She would never again serve the Empire, never see her homeworld.